I didn't have time to sit around. Excuse me, Father.
Pardon?
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Not at all, monsieur. It will be my pleasure to help you.
How long have you worked here?
Hardly work, monsieur. This is a calling. I have been helping Father Flambert for nearly 6 months now.
I guess you don't know much about the history of this church, then.
Just a little.
You've got quite a shine on that candlestick.
Ah, oui. Anything less than best would be an insult to the Almighty.
I guess so. I never thought of it like that. What do you know about the Knights Templar?
You have come to the right place, if that is your interest. Many of them were executed in the square outside. It was a disgrace to France.
Well, the Pope was right behind it, though.
Clement V was a man of mammon, not of God.
That's kind of forthright for a priest, isn't it?
You think so? It is hard to be sure what happened. It is so long ago.
You must be proud to have such an incredible collection of stained glass.
Pride is a sin, monsieur, but it is hard not to marvel when the light shines through them. It is a fine example of the artisan's genius.
Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
On the end of the staff was some kind of disc with a cross on it. Around the base of the disc was a hairline crack. I didn't recognize the biblical story in it. I was a Sunday school dropout. A stone knight lay in full stone armor, blank eyes looking at the ceiling. Carrying all that armor around must have been hard work. A stone knight lay at the end of a row of 4. I wondered if this guy had died in combat. A knight there in the company of his fellows. Biblical references engraved into the tomb edge to guide his way to the next world. I guess. A scroll was a symbol of scholarship. I knew that much. A scholarly knight. That rang a bell. A very Spanish bell. Well, I could have just taken the end off the staff, but I wanted to be sure what I'd be getting out of vandalizing a church, other than deported. Somehow, it looked more modern than its neighbor. Hello again, Father.
Bonjour, monsieur. How pleasant to speak to you again.
I noticed that the stained glass window on the left looks more modern than the middle one.
You have a keen eye, monsieur. The original window was destroyed in the last war. It was as old as the church, early 14th century.
Oh, man, that's awful.
Oui, a terrible loss. Still, the church and the other windows survived.
Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
A priest stood by the pews, energetically polishing something. On the end of the staff was some kind of disc with a cross on it. I could see that what had at first seemed to be a fine engraved chasing on the scroll was actually writing. Per disciplinum meum lux videbus. Sounds pretty familiar to me. Per disciplinum meum lux videbus. A bit of a stained glass window. Wow! Hoping for a big insight while squinting through a hunk of statuary, had been pretty optimistic, I guess. The lens fitted into the end of the scroll like a hand into a glove. Per disciplinum meum lux videbus. Hey! The distortions came sharply in the book. It was a Knight Templar burning at the stake. And below him a date in Roman numerals. A Knight Templar burning at the stake. And a date. Let me see. MCCCXIV. That's 1314. Hello again, Father.
Bonjour, monsieur. How pleasant to speak to you again.
Do you speak Latin?
You ask this of a priest?
Okay. Can you tell me what per disciplinum meum lux videbus means?
Let me see. That would be, by my teachings, you will see the light. I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Is the right-hand window original?
Oui, monsieur.
Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
To think of the long centuries that it kept its secret. In comparison to its neighbor, it looked pretty plain. Per disciplinum meum lux videbus. A Knight Templar burning at the stake. And a date. Let me see. MCCCXIV. That's 1314. On the end of the staff was some kind of disc with a cross on it. A stone knight lay in full stone armor, blank eyes looking at the ceiling. You're back.
Oui, I have returned.
Well, I wasn't expecting to see you back here again.
No? Well, it is a strange thing, but I am here on duty.
On duty? But you're just sitting there drinking wine.
No, I am not just drinking wine. I am undercover.
I must be missing something. You're in uniform.
Precisely, monsieur. My cover is that of an indolent, wine-guzzling police officer.
You've got me convinced.
Merci. But in reality, my every muscle is poised, every nerve honed. I am drawn tight, ready to pounce. Bang!
Who or what were you planning to pizzang on?
You must have heard, monsieur, of the terror that is gripping Paris.
You mean the killings? Oh, at last, someone's taken action.
People die every day. No, I am on the trail of Sewer Jacques.
Who?
Sewer Jacques, the terror of the subterranean city. He pops up here, he pops up there. The cops, they seek him everywhere. Is he so hush or beneath the neck? That damned elusive Sewer Jacques.
Bravo, that's very good.
Merci. I was up half the night writing that.
Who is this Sewer Jacques character anyway?
Ah, if we but knew that, we could have him in custody in an hour. But he is cunning. To despoil the sewers of our fair city, he has committed many deceptions. He has pretended to be a police officer and deluded a poor war veteran.
Uh-oh.
He has pretended to be a jongleur.
Wow, is that the time?
And an American tourist. What nationality are you, monsieur?
Canadian. Well, gotta go now. See ya. Well, it's not everyone who can say they started an urban myth. The glass case was intact, but the tripod had been replaced by a sign reading, "Exhibit temporarily removed." Pardon me.
Oui, monsieur?
Do you know anything about the Knights of the Temple?
No, sir. Not a sausage.
The sign on the tripod says it was found at a Templar preceptory.
It does?
Yeah. It doesn't mention John D. at all.
Most remiss.
You don't know anything about the tripod, do you?
No, I don't. I never had much of a start in life, you see. I owe what little education I gained to my uncle. He was an optician, but he also doubled as the village school teacher. He taught me the alphabet. Wait, 19 letters of it. The bottom row of the chart was too small even for him to read, so he left them out.
Why don't you start over and enroll for adult education?
You know, I never thought of that. Do you think if I studied art and did all my homework, I could be a professor of history?
At your age? Dream on. Thanks for your help. Hi, Andre.
Hello, Georgie. Where have you been? Nicole said you were away.
I just returned from Syria.
Syria? On the trail of the Templars?
It's a long story, but I found the bull's head. It was referred to on the manuscript, remember?
Yes, what is it?
A secret cave built into a high cliff face. In the cave, I discovered a map bearing a phrase in Latin. In accidenta sita est in hora mundi.
The island of Britain.
Lies at the edge of the world to the west.
Strange. That map seems to contain a series of pointers.
Like I said, it's a treasure map. Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.
Hello again, Father.
Bonjour, monsieur. How pleasant to speak to you again.
I noticed that the stained glass window on the left looks more modern than the middle one.
You have a keen eye, monsieur. The original window was destroyed in the last war. It was as old as the church, early 14th century.
Oh, man, that's awful.
Oui, a terrible loss. Still, the church and the other windows survived.
Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
A row of old pews, beautifully carved and glowing with polish. I thought of all the people who must have sat here over the decades. All those Parisian derrieres, firm buttocks of the young ladies, the flabby flesh of the old men. That wasn't a pleasing image, so I went back to the young ladies. Whoa!
Hey, you! What do you think you are doing? Leave that cover alone. Now,
Sorry, no harm intended.
you stay away from that.
I lifted the cover to reveal what smelt like the entrance to a sewer. Hi there, remember me?
Ah, mais oui, Inspector. Have you found him?
Who?
The man in the sewer, of course.
I'm, sifting through the evidence.
Ah, rather you than me, monsieur. So, when you are not exploring sewers, what do you do?
I take a lot of showers.
Oh, very good, monsieur. A policeman with a sense of humor.
I solved another puzzle.
You did?
Well, I guess I did.
Well, what was it? What's the answer?
1314.
What does that mean?
It was the date when Jacques de Molay was burned, wasn't it?
Of course.
The answer was hidden in a stained glass window. When I looked through the lens, the picture changed. It became a man surrounded by flames.
It seems to me the answers to the Templar puzzles are as cryptic as the clues. Sometimes I wonder if the manuscript isn't an elaborate joke.
The Knights Templar weren't the kind of people to play jokes, were they? I'd better get back to the quest. Sergeant Moo?
Yes.
I'd like to report an assault.
Yes, monsieur? Where is the victim?
I'm the victim. I've been harassed by a pair of thugs.
I see. And where did this alleged assault take place?
Outside the Hotel Ubu. They stopped me as I was leaving and went through my pockets.
Could you describe the suspects, monsieur?
One looked like a gorilla, and the other looked like a weasel. Their names are Flap and Guido.
I'll get them this time.
See you later, Sergeant. It was just some police paperwork, a search warrant. A knight, there in the company of his fellows. Biblical references engraved into the tomb edge to guide his way to the next world. I guess. Somehow it looked more modern than its neighbor. To think of the long centuries that had kept it secret. A statue of a knight holding a staff and a scroll. The Templars were demonstrating a pretty good grasp of physics. If the dissolution hadn't happened, we'd have had cold fusion power last century. A scroll was a symbol of scholarship. I knew that much. A scholarly knight. That rang a bell. A very Spanish bell. A priest stood by the pews, energetically polishing something. Hello again, Father.
Bonjour, monsieur. How pleasant to speak to you again.
What do you think of this?
A precious sleeve and valve? What should I think?
Never mind. Have you seen this man before?
No, I have never seen him before.
Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
I didn't have time to sit around. In French, English, and German it read, "In 1312, Pope Clement V dissolved the knightly order of the Templars and excommunicated its members on charges of heresy. In the following 2 years, many of the knights were hanged on this site. Their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was burnt at the stake on an island in the Seine." I think he suspected me of being the mysterious Sewer Jacques. And the last thing I needed at the moment was to be arrested for crimes against public sanitation.
Hello, Georges.
Let's take another look at the manuscript. A knight with a crystal ball. The knight's scroll bears a phrase in Latin. Through my teachings, you will be enlightened. There's a guy with a sword and a bull. Between them is a gem supported by a tripod. There's a woman looking at her reflection in a mirror, but the reflection has 3 hideous faces. There's a guy working on a loom.
Look there, 2 guys on the same horse.
I'd better get back to the quest. The totem pole looked distinctly out of place in the setting of the museum.
Leave it alone. That closet is over 3,000 years old.
Closet? It's a sarcophagus.
Attention! Please do not open the window, monsieur.
Don't you think it's kind of stuffy in here?
Better stuffy than dead.
What's the problem? Fumes from car exhausts?
Not just that, monsieur. There's a new burger bar opened up across the street. The Laughing Buffalo.
So what's the problem?
They cook their burgers on a charcoal grill. And the fat falls on the open flames. The amount of organic compound and smoke particles released is astounding. Since they opened, local air pollution has doubled. And it stinks like a funeral pyre. That is why I keep the windows closed.
Hi, André.
Hello, Georgie.
I'd like your opinion on a medieval manuscript.
Vraiment? Do you have it with you?
No, it's too fragile. And besides, there are certain people who'd stop at nothing to get their hands on it.
Intriguing. Do you have a copy of the text?
There isn't much, only a few Latin phrases. I was kind of hoping you'd help decipher the pictures.
Without seeing the manuscript, that's a tall order.
Just tell me one thing. What does the image of 2 men riding on the same horse suggest to you?
The Knights Templar. Does the Templar seal appear on this manuscript? I'd love to see that for myself.
The manuscript is being looked after by a friend.
In Paris?
Yeah, not far from here, in fact.
Well, just give me the address and I'll come round and take a look.
I'm not so sure about that. Maybe I should check with her first.
A female friend?
Yeah, she's a woman. This friend who has the manuscript,
Oui, the anonymous girlfriend.
she lives at 361 Rue Jarry.
Ah, I know it well. I'll drop by. Just as soon as I can.
Can you tell me anything about the Knights Templar?
I sure can, Georgie. Soldiers, diplomats, mercenaries, monks, bankers, you name it, the Templars fit the bill. The greatest fighting force in Christendom, the militia of Christ.
Jeez. How did the Templars get their name?
From the building in which they set up their headquarters. The King of Jerusalem gave them part of a mosque on the Temple Mount. It was said to have been the site of the original Temple of Solomon. The order became known first as the Knights of the Temple, and later as the Knights Templar.
You're a mine of information, Andre.
Glad to be of help, Georgie.
How come the Templars became so wealthy?
There was a constant stream of new recruits to their ranks, many from noble families. They were required to swear a sacred oath of poverty, chastity, and obedience. So, their money, goods, and lands were donated to the order. The Templars soon held land in France, Scotland, England, Spain, most of Europe, in fact. The poor Knights of Christ became the wealthiest power in Christendom.
Is it true the treasure of the Knights Templar was never found?
Who knows? So little knowledge of what really happened remains. Or, if it does, the truth has never been made public.
What do you mean by that?
The Templars have attained mythological status, like the King Arthur of the Britons. There are people even now who say the Templars still exist.
Do you think that's likely?
No, not for a minute.
Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.
Hello, Georges. Oh, by the way, I had a visit from André Lobineau.
Oh, yeah. I hope you didn't mind me giving him your address.
Not at all. It was lovely to see him again. He was over the moon when I showed him the manuscript. It's not often he gets that excited. He made a sketch of the Knight's crest to take back to the museum. I believe he's identified the family who bear that crest.
I sure hope so. I'd better get back to the quest. Hi, Andre.
Hello, Georgie. Hey, I visited Nicole's apartment.
Yeah, she told me you came by.
Ooh, quite a fine Georgie boy. I didn't expect anything quite so sexy.
I hope you're referring to the manuscript.
Oui, of course.
What did you make of the manuscript?
It dates from the time of the Crusades.
We guessed that from the Templar seal.
It's a story and pictures like a modern-day comic book.
What story does the manuscript tell?
I don't know. It was probably produced for the tourist market.
Tourists?
Oh, oui, pilgrims in their thousands on their way to Jerusalem. The tourist trade is nothing new, you know. It's been around for centuries. Ever since Joshua made a packet selling souvenir bricks from the walls of Jericho.
Have you deciphered any of the images on the manuscript?
There's very little I can be sure about. The slang of the bull could be a reference to Mithras.
Who's he?
A Persian god, almost as popular as Christ at one time. The only thing I can be sure of is the knight. He's Spanish.
How can you tell that?
The writing on the shield, the reference to Ave Maria. No self-respecting knight from Northern Europe would have borne a coat of arms like that.
Can you identify the knight's coat of arms?
I already did, Georgie. He's a member of the Vasconcellos family from the Costa Calida.
Were they famous?
No, they're not mentioned after the 15th century.
Oh.
The spotlight of history moved on. They're probably long dead.
Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.
Hello, Georges.
Is there something going on between you and Labano?
What business is it of yours? We agreed all this. The clown, the Templars, strictly business, remember?
Yeah, but...
So get off my case.
I'd better get back to the quest. Hi, is this the Vasconcellos house?
Who wants to know?
I could tell the old coot was going to be trouble. My name's George Stobart. I was wondering whether...
The house is not open to the public.
This is the Vasconcellos house.
And what business is that of yours, senor?
Look, all I want is to speak to the head of the household.
There is no household. Only the Countess and myself.
Tell me about the Countess de Vasconcellos.
She doesn't receive guests. That's all you need to know.
You don't even know what I have to talk to her about.
She hasn't won the lottery, has she?
No, she hasn't won the lottery.
A more cunning man might have claimed that she had.
Oh, yeah? They might have, might they?
And that more cunning man would have been kicked off the premises. The Countess doesn't do the lottery.
What do you know about the Templars?
Who wants to know?
Are you angling for a bribe or something?
You have nothing that I want, senor, except the pleasure of your absence.
The guy was obviously protecting the Countess against the whole world. But why? I'll be going for now.
Adios, senor.
I'm no student of architecture, but the little building looked old. I wondered if it was some sort of summer house. I didn't like the idea of carrying 30 yards of hose around me, so I left it alone.
My hose has stopped.
Yeah?
See, my hose never stops.
Well, I'm sorry to hear it. It's always sad when an old tradition comes to an end.
Did you have anything to do with it?
Well, I'm shocked. I'm mortified. How could you think such a thing?
Very easily, senor. Very easily. I'm going to find out why my hose has stopped. And that means going into the house. You are not, absolutely not, to go in the house. If you do go in the house, I will set the dogs on you.
The armor was about my size. I had a mental vision of putting it on and clanking off to see the Countess, with the gardener hanging hopelessly on the outside trying to stop me. Apart from being stupid and unworkable, it was a great plan.
Hey, you.
Who, me?
Come here.
I know this doesn't look good, but
Look, senor, all I want is a quiet life. A life without mad, house-breaking foreigners in it. Understand?
Look, I just wanted to, use the bathroom.
Leave now, please.
Okay, I'm going. Rats. It's locked. I wasn't about to go clambering on rooftops if I didn't have to. There was a statue of a guy on top of the building. He looked like a knight with a spear and some sort of staff. From a distance, I thought it might be a summer house. Close up, I wasn't so sure.
Hey, you on the stairs.
Oops. I know this doesn't look good, but
Look, senor, all I want is a quiet life. A life without mad, house-breaking foreigners in it. Understand?
Look, I just wanted to, use the bathroom.
Leave now, please.
Okay, I'm going. The armor was about my size. I had a mental vision of putting it on and clanking off to see the Countess, with the gardener hanging hopelessly on the outside trying to stop me. Apart from being stupid and unworkable, it was a great plan. There was no way that I wanted to draw attention to myself. The armor was about my size. I had a mental vision of putting it on and clanking off to see the Countess, with the gardener hanging hopelessly on the outside trying to stop me. Apart from being stupid and unworkable, it was a great plan. I love suits of armor. Who doesn't? I love suits of armor. Who doesn't?
Hey, you! Leave now, please.
Okay, I'm going. Down the long, dusty driveway was a road along which a bus traveled maybe twice a day. I knew because I'd arrived on one, and no way was I leaving until I'd got something concrete to show Nico. Rats. It's locked. Rats. It's locked.
Hey, you! I know you are there, American. All right, you dogs, I'm coming.
Madre Dios, who are you?
My name's George Stobart. I'm sorry to burst in like this.
You must leave at once. You're not wanted here.
Please, if you'd just listen a minute.
Very well. State your business, Senor Stobart.
There's been a series of murders, part of some conspiracy. Anyway, the trail led me here.
Here? There is nothing for the outside world here.
Over 600 years ago there was.
What do you mean?
This whole thing ties in somehow with the Knights Templar.
The Knights Templar are dust.
They had a secret that was so important, they went to a lot of trouble to hide it.
I do not see what this has to do with my family.
Your family had a strong connection with the Templars, right? I believe that they have planted some clues here.
Why should I believe a complete stranger who barges into my home?
Just let me have a look around. If I find nothing...
You'll be spending the night at the police station. Very well. Please, sit down.
I know your family is involved with the Templars, but I don't know how.
You should be asking how my family were involved, Senor Stobart. The Templars ceased to exist centuries ago. And as for the Vasconcellos, the line dies with me.
I'm sorry.
Don't be.
Okay, whatever happened almost 700 years ago. So, if the Templars left any clues, they're going to be in stuff that dates back to the early 14th century.
Obviously.
So, what do you have around here that's early medieval?
Early medieval. Let me think. Well, the house is relatively modern, a scant 3 centuries old. Or, of course, the chess set.
That chess set is over 600 years old? It must be worth a fortune.
Indeed it is. Not that I would part with it, of course.
No, I wouldn't either. That's the sort of thing that gets handed down to your children. Sorry.
Its value is less than you might think. The set is not complete. One of the pieces is a modern replacement. As to the original, it was lost a long time ago.
Nobody has any idea where it is?
No. The children had it when they were taken.
Children? What children?
All in good time, Senor Stobart.
May I examine the chess set?
Certainly. But do not move any of the pieces.
Okay, thanks. Close up, the modern piece stood out like a sore thumb. There was something else odd about the set. All of the original pieces had irregular bases.
My lady, I have to warn you, there's a... You! Why, I'll feed you to the dogs.
Lopez, what have I told you about feeding intruders to the dogs?
But, my lady...
Never without my permission. Senor Stobart, if I find that you're wasting my time, you will be fed to the dogs. Now, I want to show you something interesting. Follow me. Lopez, unlock the door, por favor. This is the only remaining structure on the estate contemporary with the Templars.
Nice. What is it, a summer house?
A mausoleum, Senor Stobart.
Oh.
Come with me.
Hey, senor.
Yeah?
I do not know what you have told my lady to be shown these favors, but I do not trust you.
You've got nothing to worry about. Aren't you coming in?
No, the dead do not interest me. My garden is a living thing. I will be there.
Wow, this is old.
It was constructed in the 13th century as the final resting place for the de Vasconcellos Templars.
It's well maintained.
These are my ancestors, and they deserve respect. I come here at least once a week to say a prayer for them.
Mind if I have a look around?
By all means.
Hanging from the ceiling was a huge yellowed candle. It looked really old and had never been lit. Now what? There was nothing to snuff. Feeling like an idiot, I put it down again. I couldn't climb up there without breaking something. A big statuette of the Virgin Mary kept an eye on the place. On removing the Bible, I found a pattern on the lectern top. Hey! It's a checkerboard! Close up, I could see that the pattern was made up of glass squares over a checkerboard pattern. May I ask you something?
You may ask.
Is the Virgin Mary really the right person to be sharing a mausoleum with 5 knights?
You are showing your ignorance, Senor Stobart. The Templars were dedicated to the Virgin Mary.
What's the story with the glass chessboard?
Glass chessboard. Oh, the pattern on the lectern. Purely decorative, I'm sure.
There are pieces of glass missing from it.
Oh, it has been like that since I was a girl.
The gaps in the glass chessboard look awfully deliberate.
No, it is ridiculous. What possible significance can it have?
It's part of a chessboard, and the gaps are for...
Senor Stobart, you cannot mean...
This place was built for the Templars. Your chess set is as old as the Templars. It's kind of suggestive, isn't it? I think this must be it. This is what the manuscript is pointing to.
This is extraordinary. Am I to understand that the Templars left a puzzle here? And in all of this time we failed to realize that there was a puzzle?
It was wonderful to watch the Countess change before my eyes.
Right. Well, no time for wallowing in self-pity, eh, Senor Stobart? This mystery has had a good long run, but it ain't here and now.
All those years of fatalism were falling away from her.
Lopez! Lopez! Put that hose down and listen! Go to the house and get my chess set. Yes, the old chess set! Now hurry! My, this is exciting, is it not?
Don't get too excited. This could be a blind alley.
Oh, I do not believe that for a moment.
It's good to see you happy.
Happy? You know, I think I am.
While we're waiting, I'd really like to know what happened here. I mean, the curse and everything?
It all began at the time of the dissolution of the Templars. Don Carlos had already left their ranks to become a scholar.
Don Carlos, is he the guy who went missing?
Si, but he had reckoned without the local bishop. Their bishop envied us our land and determined to use the papal edict as an excuse to destroy us. Don Carlos was on one of his scholarly journeys when the Inquisition arrived. When Don Carlos returned, it was to find his loyal manservant slain and his children gone.
They took the kids? But why?
Oh, we will never know. The bishop denied all knowledge of the children's disappearance. But witnesses had seen his men kill the servant who had been charged to protect them.
What happened to Don Carlos?
He swore he'd find his children if he had to go to the edge of the world. He put on his armor and took up his sword and shield and rode out alone. He was never seen again. Lopez, you have the pieces.
Si, my lady, as you asked.
Por favor, Senor Stobart, would you be so kind?
My lady.
Calm yourself, Lopez. I believe Senor Stobart's motives are pure.
Very well, my lady. My lady seems to trust you.
But you don't.
No, senor.
It fits, Senor Stobart. It fits.
Working quickly, I found which pieces went into which holes. pieces in place, the square bases fit onto the white pieces. I just had to figure out where to place them. Bingo! I mean, checkmate.
Senor Stobart, look!
What is that? It's not the Holy Grail, is it?
No, Senor Stobart. It is the communion chalice of the de Vasconcellos, missing for almost 700 years.
Wow. Well, go on.
I cannot. I can hardly believe it is real.
Go ahead. Live a little.
Are you sure? This is your moment of triumph, Senor Stobart.
Sure, I'm sure. The possibility of death traps only occurred to me a few days later.
So the curse of the de Vasconcellos is lifted?
Oh no, the Countess was thrilled to find the lost chalice, but there's still the riddle of the missing knight.
Well, you can forget about that now and get back to finding the Templar's secret.
Actually, I promised the Countess I'd find Don Carlos.
You what?
I can explain everything.
You have got the odds for a withered old Spanish aristocrat?
The Countess entrusted me with the chalice and the quest for her ancestor's tomb.
You're as crazy as she is. Haven't you got enough problems? Khan and the Templars?
It's all part of the same thing. The chalice is important, I'm sure. The manuscript pointed us to the knight, and I have to find him.
What then?
I don't know. But when the knight and the chalice are reunited, maybe I will.